Hello and welcome back to another video for Final Fantasy XIV with me, Meoni. This time around we're looking at something else that was on the 14-hour broadcast, as many of these videos, as you could probably imagine, are summarizing information from the massive broadcast. Not everyone has time to go through all of the forums and things, which is why I make videos on them. This was from the Tales of Adventure segment on a live stream, apparently, which had special guests. But what I didn't realize was that the special guests were actually asking questions to Yoshi P, which is actually a Q&A session just with special guests. The special guests included Tomoha, Nishimura Baby, Rei Fujita, Kazunari Yamada, UEP, Sanshiro Wada. I personally don't, have any knowledge about who those people are. You might, but there we go. So for the first question was, is it possible to have infinite sprint in cities? Yoshipi says, we actually had that discussion before. I'll relay your request over though. So that's interesting. So we might end up with infinite sprint in cities. That's quite curious, isn't it? But I don't see why we wouldn't be able to do that. That sounds like a really cool option. I mean, there was the sprint shoes, wasn't there, from Eureka that we could get a while back. So maybe this will actually happen. That would be an amazing quality of life change for running around cities for sure. Next we have, is it possible to do something about the materials getting consumed when we cancel our crafting due to getting alerts to enter instants or dungeons or raids? Very good question. It's not that we purposefully do this out of spite, they say. It's hard to get this realized since there are people who will abuse this as a bug to get their materials back to their inventory. But it is possible to realize this request, so I'll have to confirm this with the team beforehand. Another great question there. This is awesome. So there's a good chance that we might see some kind of feature implemented for that. I personally like that idea because I've wasted lots of materials thanks to having forgot about dungeon runs and having to cancel it. So that would be really nice. Next, is it possible to upgrade our equipment from normal to augmented without having to de-equip them beforehand? This person has asked a question that I've been plagued with recently for the relic weapons, actually. There is an issue with that, as the possibility of people with bad intention can abuse a certain loophole to actually cause the equipment to duplicate. Oh, right, interesting. Also, anything terrible happens, such as being unlucky or server disconnected under whatever reasons, may the player lose the equipment. So this is actually deliberate, especially when it actually assures players' safety. So you'll have no choice but to de-equip your equipment beforehand. So that's why that happens then, because they don't want people to lose their stuff. I suppose it saves time on, support tickets at the end of the day. So I understand that a little bit better myself now. Next, wouldn't it be fun to have a contest where players can submit mechanics they find interesting, and if selected, combine them to create a dungeon? Well, that's a really good question. It's possible, but it's definitely not easy to go through the selection process, and the biggest fear here is that when players end up submitting mechanics that ended up clashing with the mechanics created by the developers, in that case, who will be the owner of that mechanic? The devs, the players? No one can tell, so it becomes confusing. Also, having such contests will also end up narrowing our idea range and ended up a hindrance instead of being beneficial. I don't think that's the right way to look at it personally. I think that actually would be kind of cool, especially as a one-off, but that's just my opinion. This next question is more of a demand. Please increase our glamour plate slots. Yoshi says the reason we have the current amount of slots available is because of various reasons. Reason 1, the reason why we are limited the switch timing is because we want to specifically avoid our server from getting overloaded when hundreds and thousands of players are running them at the same time. Our current process is currently so heavy that if we have 200 players changing their glamour through the glamour plate in situations like mob hunting at the same time, they'll end up crashing the area. Reason 3, it's not as easy as telling them to just do it, so we impose this limit for the safety of our players. And reason 4, we indeed are discussing with the server team right now on whether we can expand our area and glamour plate dresser slots for 6.0. So never say never, but they are talking with the server team whether we can expand our area and glamour plate dresser slots. Please, just, I don't know, double wouldn't be enough, but any would be nice. really. So there we go, we might be seeing that for 6.0, fingers crossed. Next up, is it possible to have some extra time as some form of relief measure after the content timer depletes completely? Yoshi says, to tell the truth, we can do so, but doing so for Savage may feel hard to bear. On the other hand, having a time limit makes it a lot easier to call it quits and then necessary. Yeah, I suppose at the end of the day, it's going to be down to the person, you know, making that decision for themselves rather than having that extra timer. Honestly, I would say just don't queue for something if you don't think you've got time for it, but that's just my opinion. Next, I want to be able to burst through my opener as a red mage as well. Yoshi P can't really refute that opinion, agrees with the issue that red mage is current opener and embolden. Interesting. It is true that red mage is a bit of a slow starter in that part. I'll be sure to let the one working on the job know when we work on the job adjustments for each job. I cannot give you a clear answer now, but we will definitely bring your suggestion forward. Interesting. Very interesting. So that's a little bit of a hint towards red mage. So there's extra information here, not with questions, but stuff they wanted to include. There will be changes on guild usage on teleportations coming in 6.0, so presumably, you know, some of them will be more expensive, probably to the moon, right? The changes may be both good and bad. Since we're going to the moon, imagine the distance it takes to get to the moon. For places that are way too far, we'll have to increase the guild consumption to reach there. Yee. Let's hope it's only by a couple thousand or something, rather than, like, you know, it's not going to cost you $500,000 to get to the moon, right? We're not going to have to, like, pay SpaceX to send us there, hopefully. Dear. On coffee, cookies, and the guild leaves, for crafters, you may not need to bake any more coffee cookies since 6.0 lands. Details are known for now, and that's literally the entirety of it. So just a little segment I thought we'd include as a little separate video because I thought that was quite interesting, and it got some really good ideas there. Infinite sprint is something I personally would jump on board with in towns. It's not really going to affect anybody and could be quite fun. It would definitely make things, quality of life things, a little bit better, as long as it's an option, obviously, to toggle that on and off or whatever, or when the cooldown's over, just refresh it instantly. That would be nice. The reasons behind not being able to augment with equipped stuff, I understand a bit better now. It's for the safety of the player. Yeah, the glamour plate slots is the thing that's, you know, I'm hoping for 6.0 to have more slots like everyone else, but we'll just have to wait and see. But anyway, thank you to Eluna Minore over on the translations and live letters section of the official Final Fantasy XIV subreddit Discord. I will give a link to that in the top of the description below. But thank you so much to the Reddit team for making this possible and translating pretty much the majority of the 14-hour broadcast. It's been a real pleasure to be able to have a resource that we can just jump straight on to create content, but there we go. Anyway, let me know what you think about this particular section. Any of those questions have raised your eyebrows? Maybe you're also praying for more glamour slots in the future. I know I am. And I look forward to reading your comments. Much love, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you all next time.